Geek Vibes Live is rated G for geek.
All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to a very exciting episode of Geek Vibes Live Interview. I'm your host, Tia, and I have with me American Gods star Ashley Reyes. How are you, Ashley?
Hello. I'm doing well. I'm so excited to be here.
I'm so pumped. American Gods Season 3 premieres in just 6 days. How does that feel?
Oh my gosh, it's so overwhelming. I'm so excited. Yeah, it's crazy. I can't believe that it's finally happening. It feels like it's been so long since we wrapped, so I'm stoked.
When, if you don't mind me asking, when did you guys wrap? Because I know with, say, COVID and everything that happened in 2020, of course, schedules for everyone were being pushed and all that.
Yeah, so we left pretty much the week that the Rona hit the States. So we finished up on March 12th or 13th, and I was back home in New York by the 17th.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's been almost like a year since we were wrapping things up.
Yeah, the whole thing was so crazy. My birthday is actually March 13th, and literally I think about 2 or 3 days afterwards is when the nationwide lockdown happened. So it's going on almost a year, but I'm so pumped. I've been a huge fan of American Gods since season 1. And you're coming in as a newcomer in season 3. Have you always been a fan of the show prior to being cast, or was this kind of your introduction to it?
Yeah, so it's really funny. This show, I watched season 1, episode 1, as it happened live. And I was watching with my parents. Because I've always been a big Neil Gaiman fan. Coraline was my favorite book growing up, so I was like always a huge Neil Gaiman fan. So my dad and I were like, "Oh, so excited! Let's watch it!" And we watched episode 1 together. And I will never forget the look on his face when Bilquis,
did her thing,
a human, and it was so good. And so we both had to watch season 1 separately from then on. Yeah. Because they're like, well, I don't think we can do this together. So I watched season 1, and then kind of life got in the way. So I never got to see season 2 until I got cast, and I rewatched everything. It's just such a thrill to be a part of it now, because it's the whole universe of amazing characters.
Yeah, absolutely. How did your casting go, for Cordelia? Because Cordelia didn't appear in the book. So was it automatically you were cast as Cordelia, or were there maybe talks of you adapting a character from the book? How did that go?
Well, it was always Cordelia. I got my audition through, and they actually didn't tell me what the show was at first. And I read the scenes, and I did what I thought this kind of cool, quirky, badass lady would do. And then later on in the process was when I found out that it was American Gods. And I kind of knew because the script said Mr. Wednesday and Shadow, and I was like, I know that. But yeah, so I didn't actually know it was American Gods. And when I got there, when I was cast and I went to Toronto to shoot, was when myself and wardrobe and the creators of the show kind of worked on what this character would look like, what she sounds like, where she goes, which was really exciting because we got to build her together.
Yeah, I was definitely going to ask what that process was like, because you don't have anything to really go by, which kind of gives you a great freedom to really craft who you think this character is. I mean, how did you get into the character of Cordelia?
A lot of it was based off of kind of my rapport and relationship with Wednesday and with Shadow. I think starting off, we all had this idea of what my role would be as far as technically, like I was Wednesday's driver, and but I don't know if anybody really knew what form that would take and what the relationships would look like. So every script I got through was really exciting because it would kind of depend on what happened previously and what we'd come up with before, because I got to see where the character was suddenly going. And so that was really exciting because she's not in the book. So there was sort of a pressure going through it. I was like, oh, gosh, not in the book. That's nerve-wracking. But there was also a freedom to it where it really depended on how we were all playing off of each other, which was exciting.
Yeah, and I wanted to say that I've actually been given the privilege to see the first 4 episodes. And of course, I'm not going to spoil anything, but fantastic so far. It just makes me even more excited for season 3. You seem to have such a great chemistry with Ian McShane. What was that like filming the season with him?
Oh my gosh, it was incredible. I was terrified on day one. I'm not going to lie. I was absolutely terrified because he's a legend. He's a living legend. And I walked onto set and I was shaking and just so nervous. And then toward the end of the day on episode 1, I have a quick scene with him in the first episode, and he put his arm around me and he was like, "You're doing great, kid." And I was like, oh my gosh, okay, I feel better. And then from then on, he just became like family, kind of. I feel really lucky and very blessed that I now consider him kind of like my mentor. And this was my first TV show, and this is his bajillionth TV show. So he was really great at showing me the ropes and just being a phenomenal idol and person to look up to.
That's so wonderful to hear. I love hearing that about actors, especially when they seem larger than life, because as you said, Ian McShane just has a huge resume. So that's amazing.
Yeah.
What does the character of Cordelia offer, like her dynamic with Mr. Wednesday as opposed to Mr. Wednesday's dynamic with Shadow? Because Shadow, for the most part, was, say, a little naive in the first season, maybe even a little, you would say, in the second season. Cordelia seems like more street smart, more willing to kind of handle Mr. Wednesday's BS. Would you kind of agree with that?
Absolutely. She signs up to this thinking there's this cool guy who kind of gets me on a level that other people don't. We're both outsiders. She doesn't know about the God world, but she just figures, okay, here we go. I have nothing else to lose in my life, so I'm with you 100%. And he kind of takes her in, and she thinks that he's smart and witty and cunning, and it's really exciting to her. But she's not, I would say, for the first half of the season, she's not totally emotionally invested in this guy or this world until, I won't give anything away, but, things kind of turn for her, and she forms this bond with him that is kind of like a father-daughter sort of bond. With Shadow, he fights it, for the whole time he's fighting that sort of relationship where she kind of gives into it right away and acknowledges it from the get-go.
Right. Yeah, we definitely see that with Shadow. I was going to ask, so with Shadow now, it's been revealed at the end of season 2, we know that Shadow is Wednesday's son. Obviously, I can imagine that brings up some sort of feelings in Shadow's part. So he already kind of has this, I wouldn't want to say chip on his shoulder against Wednesday, but, obviously skeptical because now he knows the truth. What is Shadow and Cordelia's dynamic, with Cordelia being so new and not knowing the backstory that Shadow knows?
At first, Shadow wants to warn her about, everything that could happen without saying it in so many words, because that would terrify someone if they're like, well, just so you know, everyone around you is a god and everybody wants to kill you. Good luck. But, you know, he is very wary of her and their relationship. But over time, we see Shadow and Cordelia start working together, and they have an understanding with each other that I think is a different dynamic to anything we've seen on the show previously with any of the other characters, which is really interesting when they start really bonding and fighting together.
What was that like for you working with Ricky Whittle? Because he too has had a really nice filmography himself.
Yeah, he's an angel. I don't know if anybody who knows Ricky has a bad thing to say about him. He really is just like the nicest person I think I've ever met. And at first I was like, no one can be this nice. It can't be real, but it is real. And he would check on me all the time. And anytime anybody needs anything, Ricky's the first person who's right there. And he's just so good. And he holds down the show so well. He's just such a pillar of this show. He's really amazing.
That's awesome. For those who are preparing for season 3, I mean, this is kind of really different from the first 2 seasons. We're in Lakeside. We have a lot of characters who are coming in who weren't in the books. What should fans really expect from season 3 that has them still feeling like this is the same show, but also just excited because obviously you want shows to progress and go in different directions?
I think that season 3 has all of the excitement of the other seasons. It goes really deep into Shadow's past, and culturally it's beautiful. It has all of the vibrancy of the other seasons, but I think season 3 has this sort of levity and comedy to it and heartwarmingness to it that is really exciting, that I don't know if we've seen it as much in the other seasons, where you really get to see the humanity behind all of the characters in season 3, which I think is really, really exciting.
It just sounds exciting. And as I said, the first 4 episodes were just phenomenal. For Cordelia, what would you say, without revealing it, of course, but if you could think of a scene that was your just absolute favorite scene, what episode does it come up in?
Oh,
I put you on the spot there, I know.
No, it's a tie because there are 2 that stick out in my mind so much. There's one in episode 5 that I love just because it was just so much fun to shoot. I won't, without giving too much away, Ricky and I had the best time shooting episode 5, but episode 7 was really a turning point for Cordelia and for Ashley, the actor. I feel like things started to sink in for both of those pieces in episode 7. So that's my favorite, I think.
That's so exciting. I cannot wait to watch. This is a silly question because I feel like I should know your answer, but I wanted to ask this. So, old gods or new gods?
Ooh. Are you asking Ashley or Cordelia?
I'm asking Ashley.
Okay. As Ashley, old gods.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm. And what about Cordelia?
Well, Cordelia doesn't know too much yet, so I old gods as well.
Awesome. I just thought about this. It's interesting with Cordelia, right? How she is teaching Wednesday tech and all of that, because there's a scene in season 1, I'm sure you remember it, where Shadow and Wednesday are in the car, and Shadow says that he got Wednesday a phone, and Wednesday just takes it and chucks it out the window.
Yeah.
What do you think changed with Wednesday in this season that makes him, accepting that Cordelia is going to bring him into the 21st century?
Well, I think that there is, from all the characters, this sort of desperation in season 3 where there's a sort of need for things to happen. And at this point, Wednesday doesn't have Shadow anymore. He doesn't really have too many friends either. So he needs someone, and just to get back to Shadow, he needs someone. And Cordelia is that someone. And she's a smart cookie. So
she definitely seems like a smart cookie. One last question here. Is there ever a point with Cordelia that she feels as if maybe she should walk away from all of this, that maybe it becomes not worth it? Because, and I'm just guessing here because obviously I didn't come to this point or anything, no spoilers again, but we do see in a trailer where she, I think, is alluded that she finally finds out, and again, this is just me guessing, that she finally finds out about gods. Is there ever a point where she considers walking away from all of it?
Well, without giving too much away, this season is an identity crisis for Cordelia. I think that that's the best way to put it, is she's a human in a major identity crisis.
I had to say to myself, Tia, let's skirt around this without giving anything away.
Yeah.
But
so hard. I'm like, what can I say? What can I not say? I have no idea. Yeah.
But Ashley, I'm super, super excited about this. So obviously we have to look forward to American Gods Season 3 coming out, which again, the first episode premieres on Starz January 10th, and then it goes to Amazon Prime January 11th. Besides this project, what have you been up to during this whole pandemic? Is there other projects that we should be on the lookout for?
I just finished filming a movie called Slayers. It's a comedy horror thriller with Abigail Breslin and Malin Ackerman. That'll be really cool. That's hopefully coming out next year. Other than that, I've been doing a lot of cooking and just getting really excited for the show to come out.
Me as well. And I know plenty of other people who are just over the moon that finally it's returning. Believe me, as soon as I saw the premiere date, I said to myself, oh, finally, one of my favorite shows is finally back. Because we went through a bit of a drought during 2020 of no content at all. But Ashley,
but it's all coming back.
Yes, thank God. Ashley, thank you so much for just taking the time and answering my questions. I'm so excited to see more of Cordelia, and I'm excited for just American Gods Season 3 to premiere.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me.
Awesome. And please stay safe out there. And again, Happy New Year. Bye,
You too. Happy New Year.